What up guys, welcome back. Welcome if it is your first time. Today we are going to be doing a deep dive into the world of Letterboxd. More specifically, we're going to be looking at some reviews for horror films in the Letterboxd community. To me, there are two different kinds of Letterboxd users. One is just there for a good time, they want to see what their friends are watching, and they maybe want to find some new movies. On the other hand, film snobs. They think they know everything, their reviews are annoying to read, and it's just, they're the worst. Let's take a look at some of these reviews. I'll be sharing my thoughts, opinions, and also my own ranking for each of these films. Starting off with Terrifier 3. Its community score on Letterboxd is sitting at a solid 2.9. First review says, so disgusting and disturbing I had to walk out 125 minutes in. Same. I think what was funny about Terrifier 3 is this was the most intense of the franchise so far, and I assume they're just gonna continue to try and one-up themselves. There's a part of you internally that feels like, oh, should I be watching this? But you just can't take your eyes off of it. All right, this next review is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. I don't even need to explain, I'll just read it. An abominable voyeuristic extravaganza with little to offer other than cause offense to the masses and increase the cult-like devotion it already has. Reopening exploitation cinema akin to the likes of a vintage 80s B-movie or the transgressive French extremity films of the 2000s. I'm not even gonna finish reading this because this person clearly doesn't know how to have fun. I thought I would look at the comments and I found one that made me laugh. Josh said, man, I can't believe Terrifier 3 wasn't as good as Seven Samurai or Parasite. Thank you, Josh, for being real. Josh is not wrong. You're going to see Terrifier. You can expect some crazy stuff. You know it's gonna be wild, and it's not gonna be some art house film. This movie is about the blood, the guts, the extreme violence, and shocking you. 2.9 is not too far off of where I think this movie would land. I'd give it a 3.5. Next up on the list, we have Midsommar from Ari Aster, which has a 3.8 on Letterboxd, pretty solid. Always great to see a feel-good movie about traveling, recognizing your worth, and wearing fun new accessories as you leave a toxic relationship. Getting rid of a boyfriend can be a real bear. This is the perfect movie that you could watch with your partner, with your parents, maybe the first time they're meeting each other. It's just a feel-good movie about self-discovery. But on the real note, Stephanie said, this is why people watch superhero movies and I don't blame them. I do not disagree with Stephanie. This is a movie that is so heavy, probably one of the heaviest movies I've ever seen. This is a movie that I really admire, but it's one that I wouldn't want to have on repeat. I have a lot of comfort horror films, whether it's Halloween or the Nightmare films, or any of the Friday the 13th franchise. Those are all fun, you can watch them over and over and it's just a good time. But this, thematically, so heavy that I think it would really just dampen my mood if I watched it too often. The fact though that this movie can disturb us in broad daylight for almost the whole film, very impressive, and this is some of my favorite cinematography in any movie ever. Beautiful colors. While it looks perfect, I can't watch it over and over again, so I'd have to give this movie a 4.5, minus half a star for not being as rewatchable. Next up we have Halloween, and that's sitting at a 3.8 right now. Cinema Joe said, John Carpenter wrote the score for Halloween in 3 days, and then it became arguably the most iconic film score of all time. I haven't done my laundry in 2 weeks. Some people are just built different. This is the perfect review. I will never stop talking about Halloween. I mean, the fact that this score was done in 3 days, the movie was shot in a single month. There's something so simple but very effective about the music, the setting, the camera movement. It's just perfection. Neo Absurdist said, horrendous and boring as hell. Just because it's a classic doesn't mean it's good. Looking forward to the next 300 sequels. Honestly, me too. I wouldn't even be mad if they kept pumping out sequels or even a TV series. Anything that they make, I'll probably watch it and I'll eat it up just because I love this franchise so much and I know that I'm biased. I do agree that just because something is deemed classic doesn't make it an amazing movie. There's plenty of examples of this, but Halloween is most definitely not one of them. 5 stars from me. Next up, we've got A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is sitting at a 3.7 star rating. Zoe said, obsessed with the fact that this becomes a Home Alone movie in the final 10 minutes. You know what? I'm obsessed with this fact too. There is no Home Alone without A Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the final act of this movie because I feel like it differs from many of its peers during the time. It's not just a simple physical showdown where the girl drops the knife and runs and falls over. Nancy uses her strength and also her brains to beat Freddy, setting some of the best Home Alone traps I've ever seen. Bomeo says, goofy and over the top to the point of being unbearable. Still fun to laugh at though, I'll give it that. If you think the first part is goofy, man, just wait until you get to any of the other sequels. By part 4, we're having invisible karate fights. We're having comic book Freddy. He's wearing sunglasses. It only gets better from here, and there's more to laugh at, but I can appreciate it. I love this movie and the franchise as a whole, 5 stars. Next up on the list, we have Nosferatu, which was one of my favorite movies last year. It's sitting at a 3.7 right now. Wayfellow said, imagine you get freaky with Dracula and then Green Goblin shows up in a top hat and starts dropping absolute heater lines of 1st century Old English dialogue. Nosferatu himself is an actual menace in the movie. Great film. Yes. The Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, he is insane. Although he has a more minor part than some of the characters in this film, he is just mesmerizing. And I can say the same for a lot of the other people who are acting in this. They all did an absolutely killer job. Not only is the acting great to watch, but where it all takes place, the sets that were built for this, shooting some scenes by candlelight, it's just beautiful. Daniel said, a marvel of production design. Yes, but not much else. Conceptually inert and aesthetically lugubrious. I don't even know how to say that word. If you're using words that most people don't even know how to say in your reviews, I loved almost everything about this movie, minus the mustache, so I'm gonna go with 4 stars. Next up on the list, we have Halloween Ends, which I thought would be fun to talk about because this was very divisive for Halloween fans. Its current rating is a 2.1. John said, Michael Myers is finally in a position to just sit back and relax while an unpaid intern does all the work. And not a second too late, because the poor guy must be in his 80s. You know what? A lot of this I don't disagree with. Michael does kind of have an intern in this movie, but I think the idea behind it of evil just taking a shape and not being a single person is pretty cool. Halloween Ends actually had the guts to do something different compared to almost every other Halloween movie in the franchise besides Season of the Witch. While it's not my favorite of the trilogy, I do give it points for trying to be brave, branch out, and do something new. Lau Rhymes with Wow said, definitely my favorite entry in the David Gordon Green trilogy. I really like this new take on the shape, Michael Myers as an entire town's shared trauma. The movie certainly isn't perfect, but I do think it mostly succeeds at what it sets out to do. It annoyed me the least out of the new movies, that's for sure. I do think it's a little bit of a bummer to see Michael portrayed as an old man who's very powerless, because I see him more as the Shape, someone who has this power that will always give him strength and the ability to fight. But then again, I won't get too picky because I think they were pretty creative with this one. I'd give Halloween Ends a 3.5. Next up on the list, we have everybody's favorite, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. This has the lowest rating so far with a 1.1. Yummy rated it 5 stars and said, I wish this was historically accurate where Pooh doesn't wear pants. I don't even know what to say to that. Matt said, an absolute unspeakable pile of poo. That was good. This doesn't work at all as a slasher or as a satire of children's literature. The only way it does work, in fact, is as a very perverse argument against the concept of public domain. Brutal. Yeah, this guy isn't wrong. This movie is a big pile of poo. I remember before it came out seeing The Mask and some stills and even trailers and being pretty excited about this, but it was rough to say the least. The setting in the 100-acre wood, it looks pretty good considering how low budget of a movie this is, but everything else from the acting to the setup, it's just poo. I give Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1 star. Next up we have Haunt, an underappreciated and a little bit of a lesser known horror gem. It's got a 2.9 right now on Letterboxd. Lizzie said that serotonin injection when you put on a movie you had low expectations for and it turns out to pop all the way off. classic. Could not have said this better myself. I had very low expectations going into this cheaper Shudder movie that, I don't know. I like to watch that stuff, but I don't always have a very high bar. I'm a big haunted house guy, theme parks, carnivals. I just love that stuff. So anything that takes place in that sort of setting, I love it. Auteur said, overproduced Shudder garbage with nothing to distinguish itself from its legion of peers. Oh, I think this does rise above its peers. Movies like Hellfest or Hell House LLC, this movie absolutely blows them out of the water. I think a lot of this has to do with the location where it was filmed, the character design, which for the haunt actors was absolutely insane, and the overall mood this film creates. This is gonna be a movie that I watch every Halloween from now on. It's no masterpiece, but this is so much fun. I give Haunt 3.5 stars. Next up on the list, we have Hostel from Eli Roth. It's got a 2.7. My uncle recommended this to me when I was 8. I'm really sorry. This movie is definitely not for 8-year-olds, and it's honestly not for a lot of people. Crown said, Saw's wacky cousin, which is a perfect way to describe this movie. This is like Saw meets a boys trip gone wild, but the boys deserve what happens to them in this because they are absolute scumbags. Again, Josiah, your uncle should go to prison for recommending this to you at the age of 8. I give Hostel a 2. Next up, we've got Dracula, the classic Universal monster from 1931. Ben had to say, Dracula's castle is my favorite location in all of cinema history. The Gothic architecture with its capacious halls fit for a king, now dilapidated and crumbling, rubble fills the space like obsolete furniture, home to innumerable creatures of the night and what music they make. Now we're talking about Silk. I'm gonna probably just stop there. I love the enthusiasm, and I agree. One of the coolest sets in movie history. San said, the reason this film still has merits is because of the floating bats. This is a perfect example of the spectrum of Letterboxd users. Dracula is the universal monster that comes to mind for probably most people. With that being said, this movie though is a little bit more on the lower tier of the classic Universal monster movies in my opinion. I am in agreement though with Ben on the set design for Dracula. It creates an incredible atmosphere, and Bela Lugosi, he's just an icon. And the ladies love him. I'll give the movie credit for his performance, the beautiful set, and yes, the lovely bats, but I won't get too carried away. I think Dracula deserves a 3. I think that does it for this video. I've read enough Letterboxd reviews in one sitting, and yeah, the community here is interesting. If you're still watching at this point, thank you so much for being here. Let me know if you want to see any other videos like this in the future, and until then, I will see you in the next video.